Let me tell you about the strangest standoff in the entire ocean. Picture this. You're floating in open water. No fins, no armor, no real speed. By every measure that matters out here, you are the softest, slowest, most defenseless thing for miles in any direction. And gliding toward you is the single most capable predator this planet has ever produced in the sea. A hunter that kills great white sharks, that drowns whales the size of a bus. It closes the distance. It circles you once. It clicks, a strange electric sound you feel in your chest more than you hear. And then it simply leaves. You are completely unharmed. Here is the fact that should stop you cold. In all of recorded history, there is not one confirmed case of a wild orca killing a human being. Not one. And it isn't for lack of opportunity. We swim in their hunting grounds. We're slow. We're loud. We are, frankly, an easy meal. So this is the question I actually want to answer today, properly, the way it deserves to be answered. Why does the deadliest hunter in the ocean, an animal built to kill almost anything that swims, choose to spare us? Because, oh, they're just friendly is not the answer. I promise you that. The real answer comes down to three things: what an orca counts as food, how it senses the world, and how it thinks. And when you put all three together, this stops looking like luck and starts looking like a rule they almost never break. But to see why that rule is so extraordinary, you first have to understand what these animals are actually capable of. So let me show you what we're really dealing with. Off the coast of South Africa, there are two male orcas. Scientists know them as port and starboard, named for the way their dorsal fins flop to either side. Since around 2017, these two have been hunting the ocean's most feared predator, the great white shark. And they do it with a precision that is genuinely unsettling. They flip the shark onto its back, which drops it into a strange, trance-like paralysis called tonic immobility. And then, with almost surgical care, they open it up and remove one thing: the liver. A great white's liver is enormous, dense with oil, one of the richest meals in the sea. They take it and they leave the rest. Drone footage has caught them doing this. One of them, Starboard, was recorded killing a 2.5-meter great white alone in under 2 minutes. And it isn't just sharks. When orcas hunt a whale calf, a pod will work together to press the baby underwater and cover its blowhole until it can't breathe. When seals rest on floating ice, orcas will line up shoulder to shoulder and swim in perfect formation to throw a wave over the ice and wash their prey into the water. And in the deep water off Western Australia, more than 20 orcas, working as several families at once, have been recorded surrounding and taking down a blue whale, the largest animal that has ever lived on this planet. Nothing is off the menu. There is no ceiling to what they can kill. So no, not friendly. Which makes the whole thing stranger, not simpler. Because let's be honest about the physical reality of you versus one of these animals. An orca can move through the water faster than you could ride a bicycle, while you, flat out, thrashing with everything you have, manage little more than a walking pace. It weighs about as much as a delivery truck. Its teeth are built to crush bone. You, by comparison, splash around on the surface, broadcasting your exact location to everything for a mile in every direction, unable to dive, unable to hold your breath, with no camouflage and no defense whatsoever. If an orca genuinely wanted to eat you, it would not be a hunt. It would barely be an inconvenience. So, they can. Easily. We are right here. And they don't. Why? The first answer people reach for is that maybe we just taste bad. And there's something to that. An orca is a warm-blooded animal in cold water, burning through an enormous amount of energy every single day. And what it's really hunting for is fat. Dense, calorie-rich blubber. That's the payoff. Now look at a human. We are lean, bony, no thick blubber layer, no oil-rich reserves. And the humans an orca actually runs into are usually wrapped in a rubber wetsuit on top of that. From a purely nutritional standpoint, we are not a meal. We're a disappointment in a rubber suit. But here's where that neat little theory falls apart. And it falls apart on the back of what I just told you. Remember the great white shark. A shark has no blubber either. It's cartilage and muscle. And yet the orcas figured out that it carries one incredibly rich organ, and they learned to take it with surgery-like precision. They even eat halibut, a flat fish with barely anything to it. So the idea that we're simply too bony to bother with doesn't hold. If an orca can learn to slice the liver out of an apex predator, it could absolutely learn to eat a slow, soft human. They have the tools. They have the intelligence. Taste is not the thing standing between you and those teeth. So the real answer is not about what an orca can eat. It's about what an orca decides is food. And to understand that, you have to understand something about orcas that took scientists a very long time to accept. Orcas have culture. In the Pacific Northwest, there are different populations of orcas living in the very same water, and they behave like completely different nations. One group, the ones researchers call the southern residents, eats fish, almost nothing but fish. In fact, they specialize down to a single favorite, Chinook salmon. This was worked out back in 1998 when two researchers, John Ford and Graham Ellis, followed these whales and collected the scales left floating after a meal. And again, it was Chinook. Not because Chinook is the only fish around. These whales will swim right past enormous runs of other salmon, right past seals, to find the one fish their family has always eaten. And I want you to really sit with how deep this goes. There are only around 74 of these southern residents left in the world. Their salmon is disappearing. And even so, even hungry, even in decline, they will not switch to hunting the seals swimming right in front of them. They would sooner go without, because to them, a seal is not food. It doesn't register as food. A mother orca teaches her calves what counts as a meal, and her mother taught her, back and back and back through generations. It is, in the most literal sense, a family recipe. Now hold that thought, because a human was never on the menu their mother taught them. We simply do not register. We are not prey. We are not even in the category of things you consider putting in your mouth. But that raises a mechanical question. In the dark, in the deep, how does an orca even know what we are before it takes a bite? The answer is one of my favorite pieces of biology, honestly. Orcas see the world with sound. They send out rapid trains of clicks and read the echoes that come back, and they are astonishingly precise with it. In a landmark study out of the University of Washington, researchers bounced recordings of orca clicks off different salmon species and found that each one comes back with its own distinct acoustic signature, largely because of the swim bladder, the little gas-filled organ inside a fish. A Chinook swim bladder is about half the size of the other. To an orca, that is a clear, readable difference, a fingerprint in sound, from up to 100 meters away. So think about what happens when that beam of sound sweeps across a human. We don't have a fish's swim bladder. We have big, air-filled lungs, dense, heavy bones, a shape that moves all wrong. To an orca's ears, we simply do not sound like food. We don't sound like a seal. We don't sound like a salmon. We sound like some strange, hollow, clumsy object that has wandered into the wrong place. The hunting instinct never even switches on. We're not spared because they're deciding to be merciful in the moment. We're spared because, as far as their senses are concerned, There was never a meal here to begin with. And then there's the last piece, the one that's hardest to measure, and maybe the most important. These are not simple animals following simple rules. Orcas are among the most intelligent creatures in the sea, arguably some of the most complex minds on the entire planet. You can see it in how they hunt, the coordination, the assigned roles, whole strategies passed down and taught, different families speaking in different dialects. And you can see it in something far harder to watch. In the summer of 2018, a southern resident mother known as Tahlequah gave birth, and her calf lived only half an hour, and she did not let it go. She carried her dead calf, balanced on her own head, pushing it back to the surface every time it slipped, for 17 days, 1,000 miles. And her family stayed with her the whole way, taking turns helping to hold the little body up. 17 days of grief, out in the open ocean, witnessed by the world. When an animal can do that, when an animal can grieve like that, it is not looking at you as a lump of protein. A mind that complex, meeting you in the water, may well recognize you as something it understands. Another creature, another kind of person almost, not a meal. Now, I can already hear the objection, because if you've watched the news in the last 30 years, you know that orcas have killed people. So let me deal with that head on, because it's important, and because it actually proves everything I've just said, rather than breaking it. Yes, orcas have killed humans, in captivity. The most well-known was a male named Tilikum, who over the course of his life was involved in the deaths of 3 people: a trainer in 1991, a man in 1999, and another trainer, Don Brancheau, in 2010. But here is the detail that matters, the one that gets lost in the headlines. He never ate them, not one. These were not a predator feeding. They were the breakdown of a vast, intelligent, social animal that had been taken from its family and its ocean and confined to a concrete tank for decades. A mind pushed past what it could bear. That is not how a wild orca behaves. It is the opposite. It's what happens when you take the thing that spares us in the wild and you break it. And there's a newer objection too. Off the coast of Spain and Portugal, wild orcas really have been attacking boats. More than 500 encounters in just a few years, ramming the rudders of sailing yachts, sometimes sinking them. It sounds terrifying. It sounds like they've finally turned on us. Except, watch what actually happens when a boat goes down and the people end up in the water. Nothing. The orcas ignore them completely. Every time. They'll destroy the rudder and leave the human floating right there, untouched. It's a young pod, and the best guess of the scientists watching them is that this is a fad, a game, a craze that spread through a group of teenagers. Whatever it isn't about us. Even now, even sinking our boats, the one rule holds: they do not harm the people. And then there is the closest call of all, the one case that honestly settles it for me. Back in 1972, off the coast of California, a surfer named Hans Kretschmer was paddling in murky, churned-up water in a black wetsuit right beside a group of sea lions. And a wild orca made a mistake. It surged up and clamped its jaws around his leg, the full bite of an animal that can crush bone. That should have been the end of him. But the instant its teeth closed and it registered what it actually had, not a seal, not food, something wrong, it stopped. It didn't thrash, it didn't pull him under. It simply opened its mouth, let go, and swam away. He needed 100 stitches. He kept his leg, he kept his life. Think about what that takes. Even when a wild orca gets it wrong, even mid-bite, the kill already in motion, the moment it realizes you are human, it calls the whole thing off. The rule runs so deep, it overrides the strike itself. And no, before anyone brings it up, there's no good evidence that orcas are sparing us because they remember being hunted by whalers and are afraid of us. It's a great story, it just isn't supported. The real answer is quieter, and honestly, more interesting. Culture, senses, and a mind that simply never filed us under food. So let me bring this back around. We are the ones who named them killer whales. We built the myth of the monster. We hunted them, and we put them in tanks, and we made them perform. And through all of it, the single most powerful predator in the ocean, an animal that could end any one of us in the water in a matter of seconds, looks at us, floating there helpless in its home, and lets us live. Every single time. That's a kind of restraint we have almost never shown them in return. And they're not doing fine, by the way. Their salmon is vanishing, the ocean is getting louder, and the families that carry all this knowledge are under real pressure. It would be a strange kind of tragedy to finally understand how remarkable these animals are, right as we lose them. So the next time you picture a fin cutting toward you through the water, I hope you feel a little less fear and a little more of what I feel, which is something close to gratitude. They have far better manners than we do. If this changed the way you see them even slightly, stay with me, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.